Take 4, good morning and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. This morning, Thursday the 12th of June, yes we are 2 days into the little closed part of the window this summer. Closed for a competition that nobody's going to pay any attention to, let's face it. But it is what it is. Celtic though are still doing transfer business as we speak, and although they've open talks to sign a winger, I've been reliably informed that deal is likely to go ahead next week at the earliest. Could go ahead next week at the earliest. So with the fact that Celtic had been in for the player before, he has said Celtic did make a £4.6 million bid for Sondre in the winter window. Salzburg were looking for 7 million, I think it was. The player went on to say, I struggled to sleep. I didn't know if I was going to be in Norway or if I was not. I could have moved at any moment. I had to carry my passport, he said, with me everywhere. When the window closed, I felt a bit of relief. It came to the conclusion I was determined to stay here and play. I didn't know if I was ready to leave yet, so I didn't push for the move. Going abroad now is up another level. I've become more professional in everything that I've done over the last 6 months. There's always thoughts going into my head in that period. But for the time being, I think I'm more mature and I'm ready for the next move. I've got a lot of friends that will keep me grounded. I'm not much of a football fan, but I love having it as a job, which is a weird thing for somebody to say. But then again, I don't watch a lot of other football bar Celtic. I'm not one of these, and I never have been for a lot of years. I'm not one that will sit down and watch game after game after game. I'm a one-team man, as I say. Lennon Miller, another one that has been linked with Celtic, and well, will Celtic or won't they make a move for the player? They haven't made a move as it comes of this window, but I said in the live the other day, is Lennon Miller better than what we have at Celtic at the moment? Is he better than Paulo Bernardo? No. Is he better than Arne Engels? No. But then on the flip side of it, you're going to say, well, he's only 18 years old. He could potentially become better. The fact is, if Motherwell were looking for a big payday, the big payday is decreasing. Every day that the window goes on, gets closer to the end of the window, the amount of money that they're going to get for the player going into the last year of his contract is going to be virtually it's going to be down to 3, 4, 5 million. Will Celtic play the game of cards? And you know the way that Celtic work. Will they try and make sure that they go right down to the last minute of the window if they're going to put in a bid for Lennon Miller? It may be a late one, just like it was for Luke McCowan in the last window. Luke McCowan last summer was spoken about being linked to Celtic most of the summer, and he thought it wasn't going to happen going into the final evening. Half an hour before the window shuts, he gets the phone call, mate, turn around, you're heading back to Celtic Park. The deal's on. So with the fact that there has been nothing concrete for Lennon Miller, Celtic are looking at other positions. It has been reported that Celtic are looking at another winger. It's all about the winger. It's a 23-year-old Swedish guy, and he could be available for a price of €2 million. And you can see where Celtic are going into the last summer and potentially the last season of Brendan Rodgers' contract. Will they go out and spend money on a striker? This is what we're all asking. We've been linked with 2 or 3 wingers, and it looks like we're going to get one in the door in the next week. We do need a couple of strikers because, let's face it, I think Celtic are just sitting waiting on a bigger bid coming in for Dyson Maeda. Yeah, don't shout it out, but don't say I said it, Dyson Maeda. With the striking department, Celtic have been linked with numerous strikers over the past few months, but one that used to play for Aberdeen has reared its ugly head again, as some people say. Some people say that we should have got him from Aberdeen the first time round, but when he moved for over £6.5 million from Aberdeen, I think Celtic thought it was a bit too much for the player. He joined Girona last year, and he's not had the best of times in Spain. He's only netted 4 goals. He was quite prolific when he was at Aberdeen, but he's had 25 appearances for Girona, and it's casted doubt on his long-term future at the club. Comparisons have been drawn with Kyogo Furuhashi, who left Celtic for Rennes, it's said, who has also struggled for that little bit of the Midas touch in front of goals. But Mawolski is a little bit younger than Kyogo, so I don't think Celtic are never going to go back for Kyogo. That ship is well sailed. And let's face it, Kyogo's at the wrong end of the market. Age-wise now, he's 30 year old, is where Bozan's only around about 25 or something, is he? Anyway, when it comes to other transfers, Celtic have been linked with a couple of Scottish left backs. Now, there's one that's been named by a few of the Celtic supporters on this channel over the last couple of months, and that's young James Penrith at Hearts. The other one is Josh Doig that we're being linked with. And I think there's more chance of going for Penrith at Hearts because they're more likely to get him for a decent amount of money, and the fact that he's going to be learning from Kieran Tierney, the fact that Greg Taylor has left the building, we're just waiting on confirmation that he has signed for the Greeks. It was said yesterday that Celtic have put a stop on any transfer negotiations because he's still under contract with Celtic. They're saying that if he wants to move, he has to wait till the end of the month. And I think that's quite bad by Celtic, considering that they let him run down his contract. If they were going to play hardball with him, why didn't they sell him in the December window if it means that much to them? But is that just Lawwell & Co. trying to just turn the screw on him and say, look, we can give you better money? But at the end of the day, the manager said with a couple of weeks to go before the end of last season that he says, look, this is only going to go one way. If he's not signed a deal by now, he will leave the club in the summer. But when it comes to Josh Doig and James Penrith, two of them are good players, but the fact that Doig was sold for decent money, and I think that there's more chance of getting Penrith. Tell me what you think in the comments section. Which one of these two would you take as backup to Kieran Tierney? Because let's face it, I think we're all under the, Kieran Tierney dropped out of the Scotland squad again, and I think that we'll get a good 25 to 30 games out of Kieran this season. He will contribute to goals this season. I think that he'll get the best part of, I'm going to say, between 10 and 20 assists over the course of the season. I think that he'll get the ball into Adam Ida quicker than what the current wingers have been doing. Adam Ida's a fantastic striker when he's in the 6-yard box. He's proved it time and time again with some of his goals he scored with his head. He gets beyond strikers. He can be a lot better than what he is. He just needs the service. When you look at the service that Kyogo Furuhashi got, the ball's whipped in for Kyogo to try and run on to. Adam Ida didn't get the same kind of level of service as that. So that's I think that Kieran Tierney will get around between 10 and 20 assists coming through Adam Ida or another striker next summer. And then he'll be rested in games that are plastic pitches and such like. But anyway, it is what it is. So, transfer window closed until the 16th. Celtic on the verge of getting one winger in. We need more. We need more feet on the ground, because let's face it, when we went into the last game of the season, when you look at the bench, when you look back to the Scottish Cup final and you look at the bench, it wasn't an inspiring bench. It wasn't a bench. There was only 3 players on the bench that could have came on, and let's face it, they weren't the best. I would say that Luke McCowan was probably the most enthusiastic player that came off the bench that day. When you look at Yang, he was never going to make much of a difference on the pitch. And it's sad, really. It's sad when you look at the bench. Over the past few years, we've had benches that could come on and turn games, put the pressure on. It was kind of a mediocre. It's like we crossed the line with the league, and we won the league, and then it was like everybody, there wasn't that enthusiasm. And maybe that's what's wrong with this current squad of players. They've been there and done it before, and they think that winning is easy. They think that, we've done a treble under Ange. We've done a double under Ange. We've done a double last year under Brendan. But we'll get it over the line. There wasn't that. But then it comes down to the manager, and people say, well, it's up to the manager to motivate and inspire the players. Brendan Rodgers can do that, and he did it in the first season when his second time back at Celtic. Celtic gave out the speeches that he did that season. And I think it was just, when you think about it, selling Kyogo, going into the last minutes of the winter transfer window, not having a replacement, all that kind of had an effect on the players. The management and staff will say it didn't, but I think personally it did. And we needed something, and we just don't have it. And let's hope that Brendan Rodgers gets that something over the next couple of weeks. Anyway, make sure that you subscribe to the channel, and I shall see you on the next one. Let's hope there is a bit of more Celtic news coming our way with regards to a certain signing. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic day, Celtic fans, wherever you are. And you there. Thanks for watching to the end.